The categories in the Pestl analysis often overlap. For example, I will mention the US-China trade war. This is a politically driven event, though the impact is being felt in the economic segment. Another example I will mention is current political divisions. This is clearly lying in the political segment, while it unquestionably spills into the socio-cultural segment. Political and legal. Southwest Airlines, as we've established, is a US-based company with few operations outside of the country, and most of these are to American vacation destinations. The US is currently under a pro-deregulation government, an important note for the entire airline industry, given the history of the industry switching from regulated to deregulated in the 1940s. There have been recent rumblings of interest by government considering re-regulating the airline industry, as they would be legally allowed to do under what is called Section 3129 from the original documents when airlines were first deregulated. Many airlines have been actively lobbying against this happening. There has, however, been action taken toward this on the government's part. In recent years, airlines in the U.S., including Southwest, have gone to court to testify over airline customer service issues and a high volume of airline complaints, most specifically around fees. The U.S. is currently experiencing extreme political divisions, so organizations are having to give extra thought to all business decisions. Southwest has chosen to stick to their roots and continue to make decisions based off being friendly, reliable, and low cost to customers. Within the last year, there have been 2 deadly Boeing 737 MAX 8 crashes that has spurred airlines and governments across the globe to ground all 737 MAX 8s. In the US, American and Southwest are the only 2 carriers that fly this exact model aircraft. Neither airline nor the US government had grounded the model when nearly every other country and airline had already done so. There was public outcry, given that this is ultimately a choice between the public's perception of how much your organization cares versus how badly it would hurt your bottom line to voluntarily ground the planes. Southwest declared in a public statement, "We don't have any changes planned." And ultimately, the FAA made the decision to ground the entire line after much pressure and several days later. Southwest immediately complied, and this did turn into a political issue. Economic. The U.S. economy is currently in a late cycle, slow growth phase. There is very low unemployment and borrowing rates are low, thus supportive of spending and investing. When rates are low is typically the time we'd see businesses make investments, whether it be into new softwares and technologies, buying back previously issued debts or bonds, or even buying new aircraft. This, however, has not necessarily been the case for most businesses during this cycle, given the volatility of markets that we've seen in recent times, specifically given the US-China trade war. Mounting fuel, wage, and infrastructure costs, in addition to this uncertainty from the trade war, have created headwinds for the industry. While the trade war seemingly doesn't impact the airline industry directly and perhaps impacts Southwest Airlines even less, having mostly U.S. operations, effects will still be felt. Protectionist policies can have an impact on travelers and a lot of business travelers. Rising costs in the form of tariffs will be passed down to consumers, and while wages have been growing, they haven't been growing very quickly. So there's not that balance of excess wage growth to account for the excess taxes or tariff payments that consumers will be realizing. This income elasticity or inelasticity will result in consumers having less funds available to purchase plane tickets for trips and vacations. Large-scale economic events Southwest has weathered include 9/11 and the 2008 recession. During both events, huge portions of the company's stock price were wiped out, though the company still managed to be profitable. As ABC News reported in 2010, when the effects of the recession were in full swing, it's worth pointing out, however, that the airline that has remained the most resolutely customer-friendly in its strategy and tactics, Southwest has also posted the best financial performance during these fraught times. Additionally, Southwest has been profitable for 46 consecutive years, through the good times and the bad. Sociocultural. It is important to state, again, going into this sociocultural segment, that Southwest is a US-based company with mostly US operations. Nationalism, along with the protectionism and deglobalization mentioned previously, is on the rise both domestically and internationally. This is a factor that may steer the organization away from further widespread expansion at this time, other than what's already planned. In contrast to the increased nationalism, there's also been much focus on diversity and inclusion efforts at many American firms in recent years. Southwest has been exemplary in these efforts, as evidenced by their Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion, Ellen Torbert, being awarded for her work at the company. Airlines were not exempt from the Me Too movement that has swept America. In response to the movement, Southwest publicly stated that its crews are trained to deal with a wide range of sensitive customer issues and has a zero-tolerance policy for any type of assault on board. ESG. This stands for Environmental, Sustainability, and Governance. This has been coming into focus in recent years. It seems we are far from the end of this movement while businesses across the globe are figuring out how they can respond to the needs of their customers, investors, and employees by means that are better for our environment and our globe's sustainability. ESG is coming into particular focus in the investment arena, where new metrics are being developed swiftly to aid analysts in making decisions on giving companies stocks and bonds. Southwest has embraced ESG principles long before ESG was even a buzzword. So they are leaps and bounds ahead of most other airlines in this area. By sticking to their strategy of putting people first, they have ended up with many programs and policies that are good for ESG returns. Technology evolves quickly these days, as we all are aware, and this can often be expensive and cumbersome to implement. When done correctly, tech investments can pay off in dividends to a company. Per our textbook, early adopters of new technology often achieve higher market shares and earn higher returns. This is evidenced by Southwest being the first airline to sell seats online and being the first airline to actually create a website. According to Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Tammy Romo, the successful transformation of Southwest has involved significant advancements in technology delivery and improved business processes. As an example, we successfully implemented a new reservation system to support network growth and provide significant revenue opportunities. We are also on a journey to modernize our operating systems. We're focused on enhancing customer service as well as lowering our costs through automation. Romo was nodding to Southwest investments in what's called Ops Suite. According to Fast Company, Ops Suite is part of a larger $800 million technological overhaul at Southwest that includes $300 million invested in new technologies for operations and $500 million in a new reservation system.